So in this video, we'll see IQ entry questions on build process. So again, this one will be a common concept which interviewer will ask, like explain your deployment process, like how your deployment process is carried. Like maybe there will be a separate team for deployment process. There will be a pipeline for it, whatever, like Jenkins for it, or manually you are executing build process and all. You need to explain, like basically the steps you follow for the build deployment process. The first thing is you'll get the requirement, then the requirement will be shuffled to the people, like you'll get some, and your team member will get them, like how you will update the code. You'll get, let's say you get some workflow changes, you'll get the requirements, then you'll gather the requirement from the customers and all, then discuss internally with team, saying like what are the modification you are doing. Once it is done, give the demo to the team, saying whether everything works or not, or is there any modification required. Then once it is done, you will do your unit test thing. Then after unit test, you'll send it to the testing team if there is any. Then testing will happen. Then it will be pushed to the production, like what are the branches you have, or what are the environments you have. Like let's say for unit test case, you have one environment, for testing purpose you have one environment, for customers you have one environment, and then it's a production. Or you might have one environment for testing and one environment for production. Again, once testing is done, you'll give demo to the customer, you'll get the approval, and then you'll deploy on like on frequency of a deployment, maybe weekly, monthly, quarterly, or like how deployment happens. You will create the change, or like there will be a request for it, then there will be some change happens, and what you follow on the change, like you'll update the customers and all. On deployment process, what deployment you follow, like how deployment is done. Let's say if it is read in the cloud, you might have a pipeline, Jenkins and all. And if it is a manual run, like full deployment in the sense, there will be a ignore files, there will be include files, whether you are importing XML manually through IAQ, or a console, or you are running the build, or you are running the war file, then sp.init, a custom XML for files you are adding, and you are modifying that custom XML or not. You need to explain these things. So basically, it happens like some organization go with Jenkins or pipelines, cloud-based deployment, or some organization go with a manual uh, running the build. Like they will go to the server, they'll run the build, then the war file, some like import the war file or extract the war file, some import the XML to the through console, like log into the console. There will, like once you execute the build, there will be a sp.init file, init custom file, which contains all the files which need to be imported, like whole whole XMLs will be there in that XML file. Then you need to import that through a console, like log into the console, then just import that .xml file, and all the files will be included. This will take half an hour, depending upon the load of the files you have. Then if it is uh, only required import, like let's say there will, you can create include property file as well, and add all the files which need to be imported, all the XML file need to be let's say if you are onboarding only application and required workflows and rules need to be added, like you can add it in the ignore property files. Then you need to run the build. Build will check the include files, and then it will create a sp.init custom file. Only the required files will be imported to the IIQ. Explain SSB, like usually standard build thing for deployment. IIQ will provide it. It has some structure, so you need to like explain the folder structure. So it will have base, which contains the packages, effixes and all, then config folder, which contains all the objects. Like based on each object, you will have a folder for application, be bundle, custom files, forms, workflows, rules and all, like you need to explain. And also files in the sense like property files. Why we need property files based on environment. Target property files will be there, ignore files will be there, IIQ files will be there, like IQ property files will be there. And what is the use of each property files? Like target property files contains the like tokenization of servers, passwords, like environment specific keys. Like let's say you have multiple environments and servers differs, like active test application or connectors. Let's say a test environment for active directory, and you'll have production environment for active directory. And so the server differs. Instead of having multiple files for the each environment, you can have one file and add the tokens there, and all the key value pair need to be added in the target property files. And you need to encrypt the password and store it in the target property files. During the build, a build will take care of adding all the tokens. Then the framework, like if you have some framework, SSB framework will be there. What are the SSB frameworks, like for approval, email approval, or there are other frameworks as well. Then the setup, how you execute the process, like on Windows servers or Linux server, and where you store SSB, either SVN, GitHub, Bitbucket, whatever the version control you use, and how you store it, how the like whether you have a branches. Usually there will be a branches for environment, there will be a branches for versions, depending upon the requirement. Organization use those things. And how you execute the build and all, I already discussed in the previous question. So this is how you explain the SSB structure and all. Then what version control you are using? Like version control is not the version of the IAQ you are using. Version control is like a repository you are using, GitHub, Bitbucket, SVN. You need to explain, like we are using GitHub or Bitbucket, and for every changes we push it to the GitHub. Or you might, there will be a separate team for it. You will give the XML files to the team. Those they will be uploading it to the version controls. Thank you. Yeah, this is all about build process. Questions on build process, like how you execute the build, how the development happens, what is SSB, why we need SSB, what are the version control you use, and all. Thank you.